Namaskar all. This is Anil Kant Choudhary or AKC. I'm back again with another imitable success story. I hope you saw the previous one and liked it. If you have any suggestions on that, do share with me. This success story related to the challenge of how the contract implementation could be sometime a tricky thing, right? Business growth and margin improvement is an important aspect of any engagement, and in that, if the contractual term which is favorable to the provider, if we are not able to implement that, then it could be a challenge. And this is one example where we were facing this challenge. We were unable to implement some of the favorable contract terms, right? So let's see how I helped in terms of addressing this scenario. So, in terms of the challenge, let's understand what the magnitude of the challenge. The client was an important client for us. It was only client from a particular country, and as you can expect, that if you have first client from a particular country, you have a lot of things at stake there, right? You want to expand in that country and all of that. So definitely you want to nurture that relationship. You don't want it to go sour, right? So client was very, very critical for our engagement. We were engaged with them for a little over half a decade. So I think we were in the sixth year when I took over this engagement. So we had a history, not a very long one, but it was still sustainable 5.5 year long story. The scope of work was primarily in the support area. We were also doing some minor enhancements, not a major development work, but we were providing a lot of support and maintenance kind of services. The risk which we had, if this relationship goes sour, is the losing an important client, an important referenceable client in that particular region, not just that country. In that country, we were always getting this good reference from this client, but even in that particular region, this could have been a challenge, right? If the relationship turns bad. But the reason why we were in this challenge is because the previous leader who was handling it right from the start of the engagement was a bit lenient, I would say, in terms of pushing for those contractual terms, right? While client was definitely getting their contractual terms agreed and implemented, uh, we were little hesitant to push on some of those client contractual terms which is our favorable. And as a result, the fallout was that the team member had to put a lot of extra effort. They were putting long hours, the overtime was high, and because of that overtime being high, there was also attrition in the team because people were burning out. It was impacting the margin as well, because if you are having the team member to work extra, you're definitely compensating for those members, but then you are possibly not getting compensated for the same effort from the client. And the measure of relationship or success was through the feedback which you used to get during the quarterly CXO level meet with this client. So with this challenge, let's see how I looked at it and how I address it. Uh, Common approach I had explained last time. So every challenge I look at, I want to improve on the adherence to the basics, right? So doing the simple things right. But before we do that, the common approach, the sixth step, which I had explained, discovering the underlying problem, removing the noise from the message, relating to the similar instance if something happened in the past, jointly working with the concerned team to find a solution, coming up with a implementation plan so that we can implement it, and also anticipating any issues proactively and potential solutions for that, at least the workaround for that. So here also we applied this basic approach, and using that came up with some suggestions, some steps which we could incorporate. So let's see what we discovered. So, in terms of the key underlying limitation, what we discovered is the first one was, quite a revelation for all of us. We didn't know the extent of the issue. And when I say we don't, we both from our end as well as from client end, because in contract there were multiple things which were there, right? And there are certain things which was being followed. There's certain thing which was already there, but we didn't know about it. And one of the reason why we had this issue is that the contract terms were not reviewed for a long time. I think when the engagement started 5.5 years ago, those contract would have been written, but maybe there was no reviews done. At least it was not done in maybe in the previous couple of years at least, right? Maybe even more. So there were terms, there were scenarios which possibly needed to have a review, and there were many things which we were possibly in the contract already there, but it was not being implemented or not followed. Uh, Added to that, we also discovered a little bit of issue in terms of the service delivery qualities. The client, at least at operational level, they were little skeptical in terms of the quality of delivery we were making, right? So that was a bit of a challenge. Of course, from our end, we had a fear of losing a good referenceable client if we push it too hard, right? From a leadership perspective, particularly the guys who were involved in the sales and business development in that particular region, they used to remind us very often that this is a referenceable client. This client has always given us a very good feedback, which they are taking it to different customers. So we should keep that in mind. We should not rub them on the wrong side and all that, right? So we had a fear of losing it, which was kind of uh, holding us from getting too aggressive with that. Um, Having said all this, somehow the growth in that particular region was not that high, right? In fact, it was more or less stagnant. So while we were doing everything else, we were not getting the return. At least if we are not making some margin here or business here, if it is able to generate something else, right? At least you can compensate in one way or another, right? But that was not happening. So that was a underlying issue. And from a team perspective, since it was a support and maintenance, and we were having a margin pressure and all that, we had a higher mix of junior member in the team. It was pretty high, uh, which is not an issue as long as the delivery is good. But as I mentioned earlier, there was a bit of an issue in this delivery as well. And at the same time, being a junior member, they were a little scared if they have to speak out, right? Either to our own management or even to the client operational managers and all that. So they tend to get little hesitant and little worried if they have to speak out, right, about something which is not happening. So these were the six underlying issues which were discovered. Then let's see how I work with the team and come up with some action plan to address it. So key changes which we brought. The first is starting or strengthening the measurement and reporting, right? So each member started measuring the effort, right? Actual effort which they are putting, right? If there's somebody is maybe in the office for 8 hours, but if the person is working only for 6 hours, let's say, then that should be reported at 6 hours. Or if somebody is spending 10 hours, then it should be reported as 10 hours. So we started measuring each and every member's effort, actual effort, and started reporting it. And when we started this, we also noticed some deviation in terms of the estimate which was given. So team member were asked to provide a qualitative, right, in terms of why there was a deviation. There could be some genuine reason, there could be some limitation, there could be some other factor. So we asked all the members to put a qualified reason for why there's a deviation. And then we started putting this overtime trend in the weekly reports. So, I mean, we were not uh, putting anything straight to the client, but by including all of this measurement and reporting in the reports in a right way, we were making it visible to the client management. So that's the first thing which we did. The second, we worked on the improvement on the service delivery, because see, that's a fundamental thing. Whatever happens, if the service delivery is not good, nothing else would get listened to, right? So we had to make sure that the service improvement, service quality is maintained pretty high, right? So we list down what were the KPIs or SLA which were missed out over a quarter. Last couple of quarters we looked at it, we list down all those KPIs, and then prioritize them. Not all of them for every month, but a couple of them for every month. And I mean, fortunately, we didn't have a big list, but still, we didn't want to make ourselves too thin in trying to address all of that. So we prioritized two KPIs and SLAs, and we worked on that and started putting solutions around it. We also looked at the root cause of missing those KPIs, right? What was causing it, where it was going wrong, and all that, so that the solution which we come up with is a permanent solution, right? So we did that. Then we brought in the transparency with the client in terms of all aspect, whether it's a delivery quality, whether it's a effort. So we started reporting all the missed KPIs and SLAs. This is another learning which we had, because while we were missing a lot of SLAs or KPIs, it was not getting reported in the same way. So it was kind of hidden under the carpet. But we started reporting it, saying this is what contractually we are supposed to be. This is where we ended up this month, and then what is the action plan to turn it around. So we did that. Along with that, we also started reporting the overtime being put by the member. So it was not just the KPI or quality thing, but we also started reporting the overtime thing, and we also started reporting the causes of issues. Whatever different issues we were facing, if there was a cause on either end, something which we could do better or we were not doing it, or something which we were expecting from the client to do better, they were not doing it, those were also called out. So we brought in those transparencies, and then finally we worked jointly, to find a resolution to all those issues. Right? We had a quarterly steering reviews. So we started including overtime data and the KPIs improvement and all that, the contractual terms which were there on either side, which of them is kind of compliant, which is not compliant. So we started putting in that. The overtime agenda was included in the steering meeting, and we committed ourselves to improve the service quality uh, with the increased team, because what we realized is that the kind of overtime which we're putting in, that is not sustainable. So it means that we needed a little more effort, and that's something which we did. So these were the basic changes which we brought in, and this did the trick. So let's see how what was the outcome. Okay, so the first outcome was that within a quarter we could get a much happier client managers, and I'm talking about operational manager at the first place, because they are the one who are impacted the most, right? And they are the first point of contact. So we had less and less KPIs and SLA breaches month on month. So that kind of gave a good feeling to our operations manager, client's operational level manager. Then the team member, they were more confident, because member were now able to discuss the issues more freely, right? They were ready to come up with some solutions, both internal as well as with client manager. And in some cases, the member were even able to push back to the client. For example, if there was some estimate which was way off the mark, and they had all the data uh, to inform that this estimate seems to be wrong. It needs to be reviewed and maybe increase. The effort needs to be increased. So they were able to push that out to the client managers. So they were a little more confident. We increased the revenue because as part of those training committee with all those transparency, all those data points, we were able to make it clear to the client management that the team size is not optimal for the kind of work which we are doing. So they agreed for additional member to the team. At the same time, they also agreed that if there's any overtime needed by the existing team member, if it is pre-approved by the some they had identified some managers at their end. So if it is pre-approved with them, then they will be willing to pay for those overtime hour as well. So that helped us to improve revenue, and of course, revenue going up, the margin also improved, and overall the whole governance kind of improved, right? So the relationship improved because we are able to show with the real data in terms of how the quality has improved, the compliance has improved, the end user is happy, everything. And the regular reviews which we had with the contract after that, as I said, contract was not reviewed for a long time. So that is another action which came up, and we reviewed the contractual terms and fine tune it, right, which was a mutual benefit for both of us, right? So all of this we finally able to achieve. It took almost 3 to 4 quarters to get to this level of outcome, but we achieved it, and everybody, including client, was very happy. So this is where the challenge of not able to implement the favorable contract terms, we were able to put some basic things in place and able to implement it as well. I hope you like this story, the success story. If it is something which touches some chord in your organization, in your engagement, in your project and all that, okay, do share your suggestions, your feedback to me, or if there's anything where you think I could help in terms of providing some insight or some guide, I will be very happy to do that. My aim is to remain as a catalyst and help others, to get a better outcome from them, right? So that's what I'm looking at. Hope you like this story. My mail ID remains the same, connect with akc@gmail.com. Okay. Thank you for listening, and I hope we'll continue interacting. Thank you. Bye bye.